welcome back to my channel, I See Books. I'm Camilla, and today I'm giving you all of my unpopular opinions of the moment with the anti-TBR tag. This was originally done by Nicole from Nicole and Her Books, and I will put her channel in the description below so you can go and check it out. It has 8 questions, so without further ado, let's get going. The first question is a popular book everyone loves that you have no interest in reading. And for this one, I decided to go for A Little Life. I actually added this to my TBR back in, I want to say 2019, but since joining BookTube and seeing loads of people comment about it and everything, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like I want to put myself through that. Like, loads of people seem to have been traumatized by it. Loads of people filming themselves crying, and it's just, yeah, that doesn't sound like I want to have that experience. So I decided to give this book a pass. Question number 2 is a classic book or author that you don't have any interest in reading. So for this, there's quite a few. You'll, I'm sure, see the pattern in the books that I'm going to mention here. But anyway, the first book that I thought about was The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. I don't know that much about it, but it just sounds miserable, and I don't know, just doesn't feel like I'm ever going to be in the mood to read that book. But, you know, I'm happy to be convinced otherwise, but, you know. The next one is Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov, and that's kind of for obvious reasons. Although I have to say, a lot of the, like, classic Russian authors, like including Tolstoy and Dostoevsky, just don't really appeal to me. And I don't know if it's like the time period or the fact that they're like huge books and it's like they feel like quite a commitment. And maybe it's because I'm intimidated, but I don't really have any interest or at the moment any thought to read these. Question number 3 is an author whose books you have no interest in reading. And I guess that's been covered a little bit in a previous question, but I decided to answer this one with Stephen King. And it's nothing, I don't have anything against him, but I think horror is a genre that I'm not really keen on, and so I don't see myself reading any of his classic or otherwise books. Oops, it seems that I actually, when I wrote down the question, I wrote 2 that were number 3, so clearly there are more questions than I expected. Question number 4 is a problematic author whose books you have no interest in reading. Alright, so there are obviously loads, and there are loads that also I'm not aware that they're problematic, but, you know, educating myself as we go. The one that I did want to highlight was John Boyne, who wrote The Boy in the Striped Pajama. I just don't like his vibe, which sounds really rude, but I've seen a couple articles recently about the way he reacted to the way people reacted about his books, and just the sheer kind of lack of research he seems to do around his books, even the historical ones. So yeah, like really no interest in that. Next is an author you have read a couple of books from and have decided their books are not for you. And for that one, it was a definitive Sally Rooney for me. I think she's an okay writer, like I have nothing against her, but I just don't think that the vibe of her books, her characters, the things that she discusses are really for me. And I have the same kind of feelings about the TV shows as well, of the adaptations of her first 2 novels. So yeah, I may give Beautiful World, Are You There a chance, because I've heard like it's different enough from the first 2, but we'll see. Next is a genre you have no interest in, or a genre you tried to get into but couldn't. Okay, for this one, I actually realized a lot by being on BookTube. Like, I think when I started a year ago, I was just like, oh, I read a bit of everything, which is true. I'll like be up for anything, like any genres, whatever. But I've realized that I'm not that keen on all genres. Like, even like just seeing some people, the way they talk about certain genres, I'm just like, wow, I'm really not into that much, you know, like especially like crime fiction, thrillers, horror, like that's a whole, even fantasy. Actually, I thought I liked fantasy, and I think I do like some soft fantasy, but there's like a certain like branch of BookTube that seems to be so into it, like they live it, and I'm definitely not that person. But anyway, so I guess all of those genres I've just talked about are genres that I'm not super keen on, and I will never like seek them out. However, I'm like, you know, may pick a book up like once in a while. The other thing that I've realized I'm not a huge fan of and is historical romance, but it's historical romance that's like the bodice ripping one. I think I saw someone once like refer to it as that. I don't know, there's something about it that I'm not a huge fan of. Like even Outlander, if we're going on with our unpopular opinions anyway, let's just go with it. Outlander, I really like the TV show, especially like the first few seasons, which are in Scotland, and it's so beautiful and it's lovely. I love it. But to me, the books were less good. Well, not less good, but I couldn't get into them. Like, I guess with TV it's so easier, right? Because you spend a few hours watching and you kind of get in the world and you see the chemistry and it's nice. But in the book, to me, I just couldn't. And also, to be fair, I didn't think they were that well written. I started reading the first one and I just couldn't, and I had to DNF it. So, yeah. Next question is a book that you have bought but will never read. So I actually really wondered about this because last year I did an unhaul when I was kind of redoing my shelf and everything, and I gave away a lot of books that I like basically hadn't read or had no real interest in, but I can't remember them. But I did find one book in my shelf that I thought, don't think I will actually ever get to that, but I will keep it. It is The Agenda. It is nonfiction about, you know, the portrayal of women in media and stuff like that. And I think I bought it maybe like 10 years ago, and I thought that, you know, the title was like shocking or whatever, and I just love that kind of feminist stuff. So I bought it, but I really don't have any interest in reading it now. But, you know, it'll probably stay in my bookshelf for now. Next question is a series that you have no interest in reading or a series that you started and have DNF'd. Again, I'm not really a big reader of series generally, and when I think series, I think a lot of like fantasy and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go with Game of Thrones. I have like zero interest in reading any of those books. Just no. I watched a TV show with my husband. We watched it during COVID, like during the first lockdown or whatever, and you know that was a ride. I had a lot of issues with it, and also it kind of really did like doesn't make me want to read the books. Like just generally, the sheer amount of violence, of sexual violence especially, not a fan. So I will definitely not be adding that to my TBR. And finally, the last question is a new release you have no interest in reading. And there's like nothing coming out in 2022 that I was like, oh god, gross. Like a lot of the lists that I was looking at for what's upcoming was, you know, like the most interesting ones, and it was very exciting lists. And I even make my own list of 10 books that I was very excited about, but there's nothing that I was like against, so like nothing that anti-TBR. Some stuff that I was a bit kind of not that interested in, but yeah. The one thing I did want to mention, because we're talking about anti-TBR, I guess, is that I had The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley on my most excited like releases of 2022 TBR. I did read it, it wasn't that good. So yeah, not recommending. And that's it for this anti-TBR tag. It was a kind of short and sweet, which is great. I'm not going to be tagging anyone. I think loads of people have done it already. If you haven't done it and you're seeing this, consider yourself tagged if you feel like it. And if you do a video, just come back and let me know, because I'd love to watch it and know what, you know, your opinions are. Yes, as always, thank you so much for watching, and hey, Steva. Bye!